a new and exciting world of music that you may or may not have known about. So to kickstart this section, and finding myself heavily inspired by Brexit and the need to throw ourselves back in time, we're going to start with a genre I like to call synthwave. What is synthwave? Well, synthwave is a genre of music that takes all of its cues from 80s films and 80s video games, which is perfect for a nerd like myself. If you've ever wanted to feel like you're living within an 80s film, or relive those adrenaline days of the 80s arcade, then buckle up my friends, because I've got a treat for you. Now, there are hundreds of bands that fit within the genre, and loads deserve a shout out. So what you're about to see is my top 5 synthwave bands and a couple of tracks by each to get you started on your synthwave journey. So number 5, Myrone. Myrone. Normally, he wouldn't make it on the list of synthwave bands. However, I believe he deserves a place simply because he has and does make synthwave stuff. This guy exudes the 80s. Everything he does sounds like an 80s film or an 80s video game, just with heavy shredding guitars and incredibly uplifting synths. I don't know much about Myrone. I know that he has a SoundCloud page, I know he's on Spotify, and I know on Twitter he's known as Hugh Myrone. But as far as personal information, couldn't tell you much. The reason I know about him is he composed the soundtrack to a game called Dripstones, which I believe is a mobile game on both Apple and Android. I can't say I played the game, but I did hear the soundtrack through a friend and I thought it was phenomenal. Hugh's heavy riff guitar playing, as well as that 80s synth sound, just went hand in hand. It is a brilliant soundtrack. This is my favourite track from the album. It's called Applied Dynamics. It's hard to pick my favourite track by Myrone, but I would say that Dripstones Volume 1 is a fantastic entry-level album to get into his stuff. Dive in deep, guys. I promise you won't be disappointed. So this brings me on to my number 4, and that is Lazerhawk. Lazerhawk is one of the more well-known contributors to the synthwave genre. Comprised of member Garrett Hayes from Austin, Texas, they are known for very big leads in their synth and also their spaced out melodies, as per their wiki page that I could find. I was put onto this band by their album Redline by a song called Overdrive. So as you just heard from the clip, it's like being chased through a futuristic city while the law is trying to chase you down and take your blood. It is dark, it is upbeat, and it is everything that synthwave is about. The second album I would like to recommend and track would be Dream Rider, and the track is called Hypnic. I'll play you a clip here. So as you just heard from the clip, this is Lazerhawk's signature sound and his spacier melodies. And whilst this album does lean a little bit more towards the sort of chill side of things, it is still a great album with some incredible tracks, and Hypnic is definitely one of them. So that brings us to our number 3, and that would be Waveshaper. Waveshaper are a group I've only got to know very recently. All I can really tell you is they come from Sweden, and that they have a very heavy retro sound. The two albums that I've been listening to is Station Nova and Exploration 84, and the song you heard for the intro was called A Fight Against Time. This is a clip from a song called A Future Vision. So as you can see from the video and from the sound of the song, this is clearly inspired by 80s video games, and the pixel art really creates a picture for you. So go and check them out. That was Waveshaper. And now on to my number 2, Kavinsky. Kavinsky is a very famous synthwave producer from France. He found mainstream success in 2011 when his song Nightcall from the album Nightcall found its way onto the Drive soundtrack. Drive was a very popular film, and since then he's had one more album called Outrun, which you just heard the song Odd Look, which he came from. I recommend Kavinsky because he has a very great retro 80s sound, and he comes with some very dark synths, and sometimes some very good vocal work as well. You can tell he's heavily inspired by people like Daft Punk. Both albums are worth checking out, and I'm just going to leave you with a clip of Nightcall so you can hear for yourself how he got mainstream success.
I'm giving you a night call to tell you how I feel.
And that brings me to my number 1 spot, Perturbator. So Perturbator, or Perturbator, or however he's pronouncing himself, is a French musician heavily into synthwave. He takes a lot of his inspiration from the manga of the 80s, so things like Ghost in the Shell, Akira. You'll see a lot of that in his work. If you've ever played any video games, specifically Hotline Miami and Hotline Miami 2, you may have heard a few of his tracks. The song you just heard was from Dangerous Days, and it is called Humans Are Easy Prey. Heavily influenced by the Terminator, as you'll understand if you listen to it yourself from the Terminator sample at the very beginning. My 2 recommendations for Perturbator albums are Dangerous Days. It's an amazing album, but very dark. If you like to feel like you're in a dystopian future being chased by robots who just want to murder you, that's the album for you. The second is Uncanny Valley, which is still has its dark undertones, but definitely lighter. Check them both out, and check out the rest of the guys that we've given you today. Take on board what I've said. Search into the world of synthwave. These were just 5 that are in my rotation right now, 5 that I'm listening to on Spotify, and 5 that I have on my playlist. What do you like? What are your preferences? Do you have any synthwave for me that you think I'd like? Leave a comment below. If you like this video and you want to see more, like and subscribe down here, down there, wherever you put this stuff. And hopefully we'll see you again next month for more Stu's music reviews. Adios.